A heavily pregnant woman and husband set out for a photo shoot. But bliss quickly turns to disbelief when greeted by an unexpected creature of the deep. Maternity is an amazing thing, and everyone wants to capture such an incredible moment. What better way to do so than a maternity photo shoot? Being pregnant is a hardship all by itself, but imagine having to pose to get a perfect shot while carrying such a load? A heavily pregnant woman and her husband decided to get the perfect pictures at a beach. They had searched for the best times and other interesting facts about where they wanted the moment to be captured. But as he started taking the pictures, he couldn't believe what was lurking in the water. Dan and Angeline were expecting their son with immense excitement. They wanted to commemorate that moment by keeping the memory of it alive forever, with photographs. Dan had some idea of photography, but in no way would consider himself a professional. The couple researched perfect locations for the shoot until they found just the right one. But of course, Angeline was in her third trimester, so they would have to find something easy enough so that she could get around. Never did they expect this to be such a problem. They had their heart set on a beach location and went ahead for their first attempt. They headed out onto Atlantic Beach, but they didn't think the plan out thoroughly enough. The couple had just moved to the area, and they were completely unaware of the weather patterns. Sadly, for them, their first attempt was met with a massive thunderstorm that left the couple retreating back home. They knew they wanted the photographs to be taken right there, but they would have to research the weather for the near future. Little did they know what was waiting for them at the beach. Both Angeline and Dan were saddened by the occurrences of that day. In the end, they did not get the photographs they were so excited for. They began to realize how difficult this task really was, but they couldn't ponder on the thought long. Their baby was to arrive soon, and they needed to get their perfect picture soon. Dan began to research the weather and found out that just the weekend after their failed attempt, the sun would be shining with no interruptions. But that's not the only thing his research showed him. Jacksonville, Florida, is home to the sunny life of beachgoers. But those are not the only inhabitants. There have been a number of conspicuous creature sightings in the past. Dan and Angeline did not know much about the beach or the surroundings, they had just moved there. But still, they wanted the perfect picture on the sandy shoreline. While Dan did his research, two things, in particular, stood out. Atlantic Beach was home to sharks and stingrays. But what were the coincidences one of these two would appear right when they were there? Dan didn't think it would be an issue. Was he underestimating the curious creatures of the sea? Even though both knew about the shark-infested waters, they were determined. The shoot had to get done before their little boy was born into the world. So as the weekend came, off they went towards the beach. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon, the sun shone high in the sky, and the waves were beckoning. The water seemed so inviting that Angeline wandered into the water. Without thinking twice about the consequences, she found herself in a terrible state. The beach that afternoon was full of people. The weather was terrific and a plan at the beach seemed like the best thing to do on a sluggish Sunday. But suddenly, people started rushing to the shore to look on. What could it be? In the distance, an ominous figure emerged from the water. The beach erupted in chaos, with people scattering, fleeing and chattering nervously. Dan's attention was drawn to what people were staring at, not paying attention to the most important person, his wife. Angeline was trying to walk on the sand while balancing. This of course was incredibly difficult due to her heavily pregnant state. Dan still hadn't noticed, but soon enough, Angeline was left behind. Angeline continued to move around the beach sand. People around her were jogging while she was still trying to rush out of the soggy earth beneath her. Luckily, Angeline was safely on the shoreline before chaos emerged. As people gathered away from Dan and Angeline, they decided to continue with their initial plan, the photo shoot. But whatever the crowd was looking at was still lurking close. They continued the photo shoot, and Dan got a couple of great pictures showing off Angeline's baby bump. But still, he wanted to get the perfect shot. He was content with his images, but he wanted something spectacular to commemorate the day. Angeline ventured closer to the waterline once more, determined to get the perfect shot and not considering the recent commotion. But as Dan snapped away, he looked at his camera and saw the latest image he had shot. Something was there in the water right behind Angeline. Dan raised his camera to his eye to get a better look. There it was, right behind his wife. A huge creature lurked, and it was swimming straight towards her. The creature was fast, faster than what Dan could have ever expected. Shivers immediately went up and down his spine. Could it be a shark? With this thought, his breath became shallow. As he managed to get closer to his wife to prevent danger from striking, he saw it. The creature had surfaced. Dan was taken aback. In a careless but majestic motion, an incredible dolphin arced out of the water. He knew he could only do one thing: snap more pictures. He positioned his camera perfectly but still could not get the right shot. The animal was too fast for Dan's mere photography skills. But then, he had a fantastic idea. The dolphin breached once more, and Dan knew his chances were slim. But as soon as he was losing all hope, he remembered his camera had a setting that took several images back to back. The setting, called burst, would essentially let him capture the amazing moment. He set his camera on the burst setting and waited for the magnificent creature to show itself once more. As Dan waited with bated breath, things were looking bleak. But then, the water broke, and the dolphin arced his body out of the water. Dan clicked the camera in desperation, and lucky for them, the photograph could not have been more incredible. He knew he had captured something good. His camera's shutter kept on going, and when he finally looked at the image, Dan was thrilled. His shot was absolutely incredible and captured the dolphin in midair perfectly posed, like if someone had photoshopped the magnificent creature into the photograph. Angeline couldn't turn around in time to see the incredible dolphin, but still, she will always have the precious memory of it. Dan had to share the photos, and as soon as he did, they went viral. Dan was just about to take up photography as more than a hobby when another incredible thing happened in their life. After just a few months, Angeline gave birth to an incredible baby boy. The family had now become a trio as they introduced Cortland Thomas Moser to the family. A happy and healthy baby boy that has been given the nickname of Aquaman. A fitting name to commemorate their maternity photo shoot, and to never forget the amazing experience with the photobombing dolphin. If you enjoyed this story, wait for our next story starting in 10 seconds. She felt a sense of satisfaction as she completed the folding. All the clothes were in a neat row on the bed. Then she noticed something odd. She snatched up the shirt and inspected it carefully. And it all hit her like a ton of bricks. She now knew why her husband was always coming home late, and she immediately pulled out her phone. Jonna Miller lived with her husband David in Leesburg, Indiana. They had not been married for long, and their marriage had started well enough, but soon after, David started to arrive home from work later and later. Jonna noticed the change in him and started to grow worried. Day after day, she would wonder if he was still happy with his family, and her insecurities grew. Then, one day, when she least suspected it, she found her answer. David and Jonna had started dating in 2012, and just a year later, they got engaged over Thanksgiving dinner. And the Millers had a lot to celebrate that year. Jonna was 6 months pregnant with their baby girl. Jonna gave birth to Delaney in 2014, and then, another year later, the couple decided to finally tie the knot. Little did Jonna know that married life wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Jonna had grown up in the town of Indiana, and she joked that she spent most of her time telling bad jokes and creating awkward situations. This wry humor early on prepared her perfectly for what she loved to do in her adult life, blogging in her uniquely sarcastic voice. She maintains her blog, Real Blunt Blonde, to the delight of thousands of readers. But one day she shared her revelation about her husband, to the astonishment of her followers. In stark contrast, her husband's childhood was very different from Jonna's life of frivolity. David grew up in an Amish community, where simple living and a distrust of modern technology is the Swiss-German religious sect's hallmark. Jonna is amused by her husband's quirks and has a whole section dedicated to him, called, You Can Take a Man Out of the Amish Butt. Jonna also remarked that David has become well adjusted to his new English lifestyle. David works at a nearby RV dealership, and the hours were taxing. David often arrived home from work late into the night. Jonna is a stay-at-home mom, but she still finds the time to maintain her online presence and admits in her blog that her husband's absence often makes her feel isolated and insecure. In 2015, after a particularly rough day, Jonna took to her blog as an outlet for her feelings. I'm married to a hardworking man, and I would be lying if I said that it didn't take a toll on me. Sometimes he will come home after a long day at work, and I'll be waiting for him to walk in the door, so I can yell, You promised me you would be home at 5. As if he would rather be working than spending time with me and our daughter. I'm putting him in a lose-lose situation. He literally can't win. If he doesn't work late, we won't get the new furniture set that I have to have. If he does work later, he comes home to a nagging wife who is desperate for his attention. She continued, I am so selfish in our marriage, and I know that. But, every once in a while, I'll have my little, aha, moment that gives me a sense of understanding. But Jonna was about to get a dose of reality. One Wednesday, when David didn't come home by the time he said he would, Jonna placed his dinner in the fridge and slammed the door in anger. She was really going to let him have it this time. Then, she heard the dryer finish its cycle, and started to fold the warm clothes. It soothed her, but all the while, she was thinking, why does he not want to spend time with me? Just then, she noticed something about David's clothes, and the truth left her floored. She had folded the laundry and separated the clothes into two piles, hers and David's. That's when she saw it and wondered why she had never noticed before. The truth about David had been staring her in the face the whole time. She looked from one pile to another, and his clothes were very different from hers. And the revelation changed the way she viewed her entire marriage. Jonna shared her life-changing revelation with her readers on her blog, asking herself, why did my clothes look so vibrant, clean and new? His were dingy, stained and torn. Then, it all clicked and finally made sense for Jonna. David worked so hard every day to provide her with all the things she wanted. And he had to work the harrowing hours just to manage her demands. This man provided more than I deserve. If I tell him I want something, very seldom will he tell me no, she explained. Then, Jonna felt another emotion hit her, like a tidal wave. Her husband was making do with his old and worn clothes while he made sure she always had new and expensive ones. The guilt racked through her, and she started to cry. I get spoiled with the fruits of his labor and he is okay with a pair of torn boxer briefs. I was acting as if he was out partying with his friends, but his laundry told a completely different story. And the part that brought her to tears was that David never complained or expressed any resentment towards her. His heart is full when he walks in, through the door, and our daughter run for him excitedly yelling, Dada. After Jonna's life-changing realization, she resolved to strive to become a better partner for David. Every time he would arrive home late from work, instead of getting angry, she would remind herself of the sacrifices he was making for his family. And she encourages her readers to think twice before resorting to feelings of anger towards their hardworking husbands. Sure, I miss him and want to spend time with him throughout the week, but I have realized he is offering me the most beautiful form of love there is. He works to give our family everything we need. He works so his wife and daughter don't go without, even though there are times I'm sure he does, she wrote. Jonna's experience and random observation lead her to admit that her feelings of loneliness and resentment towards her husband were completely unfounded. She had some good advice for her readers, too. If you have a hardworking man in your life and you can't comprehend how much he loves you, do his laundry. Jonna's post on her blog struck a chord with many of her readers, and the truth hit home for one commenter in particular. This is an amazing reminder. I used to stay home with our daughters when they were little, and I used to feel horrible doing the same thing. This is an awesome perspective to carry. Jonna continues to maintain her blog, even though she is kept thoroughly busy by parenthood. Her blog, Real Blunt Blonde, has many witty and sometimes hilarious posts about family life. Many of Jonna's posts also discuss David's Amish background, and these have proved to be a huge hit with her readers as interest in the culture grows. I'm not Amish but my husband is just one of Jonna's popular blogspots. She discusses her relationship with David and describes what happened when she met his parents. It also reflects on the naive misconceptions she had before getting to know the Amish better, and Jonna constantly takes jabs at herself with her wry humor. Jonna also writes extensively about motherhood, and she shares her insights into parenting from her first-hand experiences with Delaney. Jonna battled with what she referred to as the terrible twos in 2016 and was exasperated by her rebellious daughter. Jonna titled this piece, I graduated at the University of Toddler Town and majored in defeat, and describes the trying time in hilarious and painful detail.